tone function of SKN. It is incredibly powerful. I have said multiple times to our testing team and during development, as well as in various different promos, that the tone function is available at every level of production, from full-blown commercial grade all the way down to casual hobbyist shooting portraiture. Because what it is a tonal manipulation, yes, but in a way, as we call it, HSB replacement, along with other elements and highlight modification and various other grading that we can do. It's a way to like enhance light shaping in some ways, but also help with tonalities and color overall. Now in this shot of Sean, I went ahead and gave him a light edit. I didn't want him super polished and ultra smooth skin or anything like that. He's also very fit. He's got veins, he's got textures, and of course his muscles and everything. So there's texture I wanted to preserve, and I did that. So I did the edit my way. Didn't even run SKN cleanup because it didn't need much. But now I'm on tone. So let's go ahead and run it. We're going to let it run and do its little setup, which won't change the image at all. But the first thing that I always recommend whenever we finish running it is to look at our mask. Okay, so we hold down Alt or Option, we click on this folder, and we see how the mask was created. Because remember, it uses Photoshop's functions to create a skin mask, but we enhance it by giving Photoshop better eyes, if you will, into finding skin tones. But that said, sometimes depending on your shot, kind of color cast you have, the luminosity of the shot, the actual skin tone itself, sometimes it gets a little lost. Here it did okay. Okay, it didn't get a perfect mask. It's not perfect edge to edge, but I think it's going to work for what we need. So we're going to roll with it. We can always modify it if we need to. Now, let's go into our toning. Let's see, what can we do here? Well, there's a lot of things we can do. Let's start with some shaping. First and foremost, I'm going to go to the bottom of our functions here. Highlight intensity. It's on the middle highlight range. We're just going to turn that up real quick to see what it's doing. Not much. The range is very low. Okay, so we'll increase the range a bit. See that? We're creating a lot of cool shaping there. Now, on the mid-tones, let's give it some tones, give it some saturation. And then we're going to hue it to the right. Give me a little bit of yellow. Something like that. A little more tone, I think. Okay, we're going to desaturate overall to make sure we don't overcolor the skin. We don't want it to be like too saturated, but we still want that color in there. Okay, so let's see, off and on, getting some cool shaping. Not bad, not bad. We're going to leave that, I think, like that. Well, let's play with the shadows real quick. Let's brighten that up and see what kind of color. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Make that a little bit more yellowish. I don't mind that so much, but a little less saturation. Okay, let's go to our grade section. I may or may not add a gradient on top, but let's play with the contrast. Okay, and the luminosity, pretty straightforward. You know what? Let's go ahead and add some of these. What happens if I add this light toned one? Okay, green toned. Let me add a little more opacity. Kind of a muted brown, a little strong. Lighter there, really deep there. Let's go for the light one, but let's go back and take our desaturation down a little bit. And then we're going to add more contrast and take the luminosity down. Let's see what we got. From this to this, this to this. See that? We've already woken up the shot because the shot's very simple. It's got more or less neutral tones, you know, the very light gray background and the very subtle blue cutoff shirt that he has. But beyond that, everything else is neutral. So the tonal element to me of the whole shot is his skin. And with no modifications, it works fine. But with SKN tone, I can shape it, give it a little bit of toning. And if I think to myself, I like it, but maybe I'm going to add a grade on top of it, that's okay, because you can work right here. Let's say, for example, we go and we go to selected color on top of it. Right now, we haven't even turned off SKN tone or flattened or anything. Let's do a little bit of grading. I mean, this is a lot, but let's just do a little bit of grading here just to kind of get a certain energy. And then we can go back to SKN and decide, okay, do we want less saturation? Do we want to turn off, less overall opacity? Do we want to shift the overall tone more toward yellow? Do we want to change the mid-range saturation down? Okay, yeah, from this to this. There's our little color grade. There's it without, with the color grade and without. See, if we color graded our shot originally without SKN's toning functions, this is what we would get, and it's fine. But with tone, we have this, we woke it up. It almost makes the sunlight appear a little bit harder, a little more specular highlights are popping, especially on that kind of skin texture. Brings out his physique really well, right? If we wanted to, again, we could paint in the mask a little more accurately. But this, to me, is the hallmark of SKN. This is what took this shot from, you know, pretty nice, but we shaped the skin tone and then we color graded on top of that. Whether we want to color grade on top of it or not. You can just flatten it and keep going from there. You have that, that flexibility. And on top of that, if I have a whole set and I like it, I can save the entire preset here if I wanted to. Just hit plus and name it. If I'm really, really happy with this tricolor selection here in the middle, my HSB replacement, I can come to those presets and I can add one. See, there it is right there. So I can add that to other shots later on. And if I want, I can option click it and just delete it, etc., etc. Keep myself organized, but keep these things in mind, because as I'm working, I don't want to be bogged down with, wait a minute, what was this? What was that? Oh, I got to remember this. I got to remember that. We just save our presets and everything is flexible. When you use SKN in a workflow, it's a good idea to leave, whenever you can, leave your SKN folders, whether it's tone or cleanup or both, leave them alone, leave them untouched, so you can still do color grading on top of that. Now, if you need to flatten and then do liquefy, that's the nature of liquefy. We're going to have videos talking a little bit about that too. You have to flatten to a new layer, or you liquefy up front. That's a discussion for another time. But I just want to show you there that even something as simple as this, I mean, Sean doesn't require, quote, any editing to speak of, but when you add a little bit of dynamics to the skin tone, the color grade just comes to life, because without it, it's nice, but a little dead. Here, we woke it up. And it really works when skin is extra shiny. And the cleanup function works really great when the skin is wet. All kinds of things that we have. Make sure you watch all our videos about all of that. But this is just one of my favorite ways to use SKN's tone, because quite frankly, this would take multiple steps, not to mention creating a mask, multiple steps to get this kind of look. And I have way more flexibility than if I did it manually on the layer stack with adjustment layers one at a time.